You are welcome back to African Colonization TV and Biafran History. And today we'll go into the issue concerning the genocide that is happening in Nigeria. As it is, according to the heading title, US lawmakers accuses Nigeria of denial as Christians killing spark global outrage. In the US now, as it is now, the lawmaker Chris Smith, the lawmaker in US, he has come out, start saying a lot of things concerning this Christian genocide that is going on in Nigeria. And in this video, you will see where he talk about the way Nigerian government is being built with lies and forgeries. The way they are being covered with everything they are doing, mostly the leaders, the senators, the president, all of them. How come something like this, killing and destroying of life and property, will be happening in Nigeria? The people that they claim that they are the leaders, they used to speak for the people, they cannot speak, they cannot even say the truth. What they used to do to US, they come to US and they deny and they claim that nothing is happening in Nigeria. Why? The women and children, all of them have been by killing is so much in Nigeria. And he talk about how come a Christian family, known as a pastor, came to US, then went to interview and start talking a lot of things, claiming that his family, his children, his wife, all of them is Christians, and there is nothing like Christian genocide that is going on in Nigeria. In fact, in this video, don't skip any part of it, because this US lawmaker, Chris Smith, he really talk hard on Nigerian leaders, and they really talk hard on what is happening in Nigeria. How the Nigerian government, Tinubu, has been paid $900 million for them to lobby US, for them to lobby Trump, for him not to see or not to understand what really that is happening in the country. It is very, very painful that Nigeria is full of lies and deniers. That is how the country is being built up. So don't skip any part. As you're about to watch, like, subscribe, and share the video to go and let others see what is really going on in the country. That for the leaders we have in this country, all of them is full of lies, propaganda, and denying of the evil that is happening in the country.
Islamist growing trend all over the world, including in the United States, but especially in the Middle East. It's been there for a long time. That has gotten worse. Hamas is the quintessential example of that hatred for Jews and for Christians. And then you have a situation like in Nigeria, where more Christians have been killed there than anywhere else in the world. And you have a government in Nigeria that practices denial, a culture of denial. No, nothing to see here. They even hired DC, a big firm here in DC.
The First Lady was here. She was here this week, and in fact, they wanted to come on the program to talk about religious freedom. And I said, I'm not going to give them. I'll meet with them. I'm happy to meet with anybody.
Same here.
But I'm not going to give them a platform to cover up what they're doing in Nigeria.
And that's just what it is—a massive cover-up. I met with a big delegation that came in, and it went for almost 2 hours. And the Attorney General of Nigeria said that this Bishop Anabe, who I had at 2 of my hearings, you were there.
He testified right next to me.
Right next to you. A wonderful man. He said, "Oh, he's a liar." And I said, "Whoa, stop that." And then they always do the thing, well, my wife's a Christian, or I'm a Christian, and my husband, it's like, don't tell me that. What is happening as churches are being firebombed, people are being killed in cold blood, abductions, which is very, very big there in Nigeria, of Christians especially, but others, but especially Christians. And there's this assault on faith that has gotten worse. Obama did nothing. Boko Haram flourished under his 8 years in office, and now
it was your persistent advocacy that actually eventually got them labeled as a terrorist organization.
Yes. For 3 years we tried, Tony, and I had hearings on it. We had people give very, very compelling testimony as to what Boko Haram was doing, and finally, on the day we were marking up my bill to tell the administration you have to declare them a FTO, foreign terrorist organization, that day, that hour, basically, they said, "Oh, they're an FTO."
Yeah.
And it was like, 3 years ago, we could have been working to find out where their sources of funding and weapons.
Before they kidnapped many of the girls.
That's right. The Chibok girls and many of the others were all. And that continues to this day.
Let me ask you about that, Congressman Smith, because as you say that it's gotten worse, you've got these dictators and tyrants in different parts of the world. My experience when I was chairing the Youth Serve Commission, going to different countries, is that many of these bad actors have seen what's happened in America over the last 2 decades, where we have gone from one administration that acts like we have right now, that protects religious freedom, to one that doesn't care about religious freedom and promotes abortion and LGBTQ. And so they just want to wait out. So we're not having that persistent, consistent presence of influence on the world.
Well, that's a very keen observation, because I have found that you even hear that from some of the diplomats when you talk to them. Oh, he'll be gone. Trump will be gone in 2 years. And in what potentially could come in a very, very liberal Democrat like the governor of California, who couldn't care less about religious freedom. I remember I had hearings.
Well, it's the Democratic Party doesn't care about it.
There are many. There are
it's very clear.
Most of them don't. You're right.
But when you come to their priorities and their platform,
it's not there.
You don't see it there.
Right. And, we saw it with Barack Obama. I would continually say, okay, the International Religious Freedom Act, authored brilliantly by Frank Wolf, it says you must provide us with countries of particular concern, countries that are really doing bad things that could be sanctioned. And we wouldn't even get the list year in and year out.
But that legislation also says that religious freedom will be a priority in our foreign policy.
Exactly what it says, a core. Absolutely, it says that. And, it's been in effect since 1998. I'm happy to say that the Republicans have very faithfully administered it or carried it out.
So the situation over time has gotten worse.
Yeah.
We see that we have aggressive action being taken by this administration. In fact, troops being sent to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Do you know what their role will be there?
Well, in the past, there has been an attempt to try to train the Nigerian military in counterinsurgency operations against these terrorist organizations. Because not only do they go after the Christians, they try to do just what Hamas does. You can't be a non-jihadist type of Muslim and live in Gaza during those bad old days. You just can't. They force you into it. They coerce you into it, or else you find yourself out in the back street dead or wounded very severely. And that's what they do. So people conform, and if you do it from early on,
these terrorist organizations are better equipped than even the military there in Nigeria.
They are, and they also have the element of surprise all the time. They go to a girls' school. They go to St. Mary's. They kidnapped all of those students. What time do they come? 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Do a blitz, and they take these kids out. So we need from Nigeria a very serious effort to say that's it, enough, zero tolerance on allowing terrorists to do this, rather than saying nothing to see here and then hiring big firms here in D.C., 2 of them at least, to put a false image on it. Right. And I remember during Romania, during Ceausescu, because I got involved with religious freedom after reading Pastor Wormbrand's book, Tortured for Christ. And boy, what an eye-opener that was as to what was going on in Romania in that time during the communist dictatorship. And he said, you people are so naive. They come over here and they charm you. They say they have nice bullet points about how Ceausescu was doing so well. And the guy was a monster. And he tortured people regularly. His Securitate, which is the equivalent of the KGB in the Soviet Union, was infamous for its cruelty. And he said all this, and a lot of us did try to listen and act.
What needs to happen when you look at this trajectory? You look at the United States role, but it's inconsistent in its stand. What do we need to be doing to ensure that religious persecution actually takes the opposite direction, begins to decrease?
It's a great question, and I think the administration, they really have gotten it with Nigeria. We need to do it with other countries. India has a very, very poor record of religious persecution. China and North Korea, but North Korea is far smaller.
India is very, very similar to Nigeria in that it's not the government that's perpetrating the violence, but they enable it by turning a blind eye.
Exactly right. And that's what we're trying to say to the administration. I think, Marco Rubio is very, very committed. We've got people, Mark Walker, who, could have been the ambassador at large. It holds on the Senate, but he's got a very, very good job as advisor, a principal advisor to the president. And we need an all-out effort, a pivot, if you will, to say this matters. We will use every tool at our disposal, including economic sanctions. One of the downsides over these many years of the Religious Freedom Act is that it's got two parts. You declare a country of particular concern based on its record, and for many times that becomes the end of it.
Right.
Now, these bad guys look at that and say, well, what's the penalty? There has to be a penalty phase, and prescribed in the bill are all these wonderful sanctions that can make all the difference in the world, and they're often not used. They need to be used very, very effectively, prudently, but aggressively, and say, we're not kidding. Stop torturing the Christians or other faiths. Religious freedom, as you know, because you headed up the Religious Freedom Commission and did so beautifully for those years. It's for everyone. If people want to worship, they worship as they would like. But you can't have this. You name them and then you walk away and say, "Been there, done that."
It's just window dressing. It's not changing things. So we just have a little over 3 minutes.
Honestly, we need serious sanctions to these terrorist sympathizers, terrorist financiers in Nigeria, because designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern is not supposed to stop there. We need more actions, because without this insecurity will continue. So as he heard that our First Lady went to United States just to cover up the atrocities happening in Nigeria, but they refuse to give them platform. My people, this is really, really shameful, because these people, they are so tired of their lies and propaganda. Now, people know who Nigeria government is. Yes, look at every day by day, killings are still going on in Nigeria. What are these people even saying? There's no amount of money or lobbyists you can hire that will cover this atrocity that are happening in Nigeria, because this is social media time, my people. People are seeing exactly what is happening in Nigeria. You cannot cover it up. So whatever any effort they are making just to conceal everything that are happening in Nigeria is not going to work, because all over the world, people know what is going on in Nigeria right now. And there is this culture in Nigeria that is so shameful and heartbreaking. When kidnappers or terrorists kidnap Nigerians, at the end of the day, Nigeria government, they will have deal with these terrorists, then they will release these people, and then Nigeria officials, they will now wear them uniform and start celebrating, oh, these people have been released. My people, where are the terrorists? How many of them have they arrested? Where are the terrorists? So they will have deal with them, give them money, they will not release Nigerians. At the end of the day, they come back again and kidnap Nigerians. And some of you are even celebrating. I saw some of people telling the governor of Kaduna State, because kidnappers or terrorists release these people and then they wear them uniform and they were celebrating. Before 2 days now, we hear another story that terrorists kidnap so numbers of people in Nigeria. When is this rubbish going to stop in Nigeria? Because it is really, really getting out of hand. It really shows that Nigeria government, they are not ready to stop this insecurity in Nigeria. But thank God for what Rufai said in this video. My people, just take a listen and hear everything they discussed. Please do well to subscribe, like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comment section.
Now let's highlight this major development from Kaduna State, where Governor Uba Sani on Wednesday received the remaining worshippers who were abducted on January 18th during coordinated attacks by terrorists in 3 churches in Kajuru local government area of the state. The victims were among 183 worshippers abducted. Their release was facilitated through a joint operation involving the Office of the National Security Advisor, the Department of State Services, and the Kaduna State government, with no ransom reportedly paid. The victims were received during an emotional reception at the government house, where Governor Uba Sani confirmed that all 183 abducted worshippers are now free.
Medically fit, and they have all returned home. And I'm happy to announce that President Bola Tinubu has given me the assurance that our request will be fulfilled by the grace of God. I also want to thank all the security agencies, the DSS. I want to thank my friend and brother, Tosin Ajayi.
Freed worshippers are now receiving treatment and psychosocial support. We're happy that all 183 worshippers are now safe. The coordinated efforts between the Office of the National Security Advisor, DSS, and the Kaduna State government shows what is possible when security agencies work effectively together. Now, this is, welcoming development for a lot of the family members that, had been crying for almost 2 weeks. I'm happy to see that, all of them are back safe and they're looking healthy, receiving treatment and social support.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's fantastic, and that's what we usually call on just post-traumatic support for the victims or kidnapping victims.
Yeah.
But whilst we congratulate and thank, great stuff for the military, the security agents, the government, there are still many questions that arise, OG, and the reason why these questions are important is that we do not want to come back here again, announce another kidnapping incident, and announce another release with, jubilations like this. So the key questions are, number one is that this must be a case study, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. How are we able to release 183 people with no form of combat, nobody arrested, no sense of violence? These are the key questions that Nigerians are asking, so that we can get, some answers to that.
Fantastic. We are happy that they are back home with their families, like I said, and, Nigerians are asking how were they released, would like to know what measures have been taken to prevent this sort of, attack from occurring again in the future. Again, kudos to the DSS and the Kaduna State government. Thank you for bringing our Nigerians back home. Meanwhile, in Benue State, more than 16 people were killed after a vicious attack by armed herdsmen in Kwande local government area of the state. Residents say the attack took place on Tuesday, sparking new outrage over the rapidly worsening insecurity in the area. Well, according to eyewitnesses, the gunmen descended on a market, opened fire, looted shops, and took millions of naira from traders before setting the market on fire. This is horrific. Benue State Police Command have confirmed the attack, saying that one mobile police officer was also killed. One resident stated that this latest assault has led to people now being forced to leave their homes again. Further accounts accuse officials of neglecting communities close to Nigeria's border, noting that Obande lies along the border between Nigeria and Cameroon. And Benue again in the news. Only yesterday we talked about almost 200 people killed in Kwara. Now 16. The day before it was Katsina, 20. What is going on in Nigeria? Well, in Katsina State, hundreds of people gathered on the streets to mourn the brutal killing of 20 people who were massacred by terrorists in Askari local government area of the state. The terrorists on Tuesday shot sporadically in Doma community for 3 hours, killing the victims. Well, here is a video of the mourners parading through the streets.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Dr. Bati, this was so heartbreaking to watch. May their souls rest in peace.
Well, we go through the same ritual every time. People get killed, and then we say, may their souls rest in peace. Government issues statements. The perpetrators, the extremists will be brought to book. You know, we already have like a playbook for it. I think the basic thing is that government has a responsibility to protect the dignity of the human person and to respect and ensure respect for the right of the average Nigerian to life. Sections 33 and 34 of the 1999 Constitution. Government says it's challenging. Now we have cooperation with the United States. The Americans are talking about it. They've sent some troops on the ground. Yeah. They've sent equipment. Turkey, after the recent trip, is also saying it will cooperate with Nigeria. So it's a global challenge.
Yes.
The thing is for the Nigerian government to continue to mobilize everything to see that people do not die needlessly.
All right.
In Katsina, we had mass burials, people trooped out, you know.
Yeah,
it's a very unfortunate situation. And people are saying, Kwara, again. You know, the thing is just getting close and closer to every part of Nigeria.
All right.
So it's deplorable.
Really deplorable. In Benue State, Nigerians need to feel safe in their homes. Kwara, Katsina, Nigerians need to feel safe in their homes. Again, may their souls rest in peace.
As far of results, which was in the 2022 Act, what we passed and which the Senate President himself, when he was doing a clarification sitting on his chair, is transmission of results. Transmit, not transfer. What is in 2022 is transfer. And we don't want a law that is vague. We don't want a law that will be misinterpreted by anybody. We want a law that is clear, concise, and can be interpreted by all, and that is unambiguous. So it is electronic transmission of results. Yes, thank you. I think we can end it here because we've done.
All right, clearly spelled out. Transmission, not transfer. Well, on Wednesday, Senate President Godswill Akpabio tried to clarify the Senate's decision, saying that the Senate did not reject electronic transmission of results, but retained its provisions in the current Electoral Act. Let's take a look.
But the social media already is awash with the fact that the Senate has rejected electronic transmission. That is not true. That is not true. Electronic transmission had always been in our Act. And what we did was to return the electronic transmission, which had been in our Act and which was used in 2022. Let me just mention the fact that there was no deliberate attempt on the part of the Nigerian Senate to delay the amendment of the Electoral Act. Our intention had always been to ensure that we do our best and we do it painstakingly.
All right. What Nigerians are asking is not to retain the Electoral Act 2022, but to amend it to make electronic transmission of results mandatory. We want results to be uploaded in real time onto the IREF portal from polling units. Currently, Section 63 of the Electoral Act does not mandate the electronic transmission of results. It gives INEC the discretion to determine the method of transfer of results. Nigerians want that section amended. And I'll take Peter Obi's post. In a lengthy tweet he wrote in part, the Senate's blatant rejection of mandatory electronic transmission of results is an unforgivable act of electoral manipulation ahead of 2027. This failure to pass a clear safeguard is nothing short of a deliberate assault on Nigeria's democracy. By rejecting these essential transparency measures, they are eroding the very foundation of credible elections. The turmoil, disputes, and manipulations that plagued past elections, especially the 2023 general election, stemmed directly from the refusal to fully implement electronic transmission. Nigerians were fed excuses of a fabricated glitch that never existed, while numerous African nations adopt electronic transmission to bolster democracy. Nigeria, the supposed giant of Africa, shamelessly lags behind, dragging the continent backwards. By rejecting mandatory electronic transmission, a critical safeguard for electoral integrity, we are entrenching disorder aimed at perpetuating confusion according to the whims of a small clique. Have we not reached a point where we must think seriously about the future of our country and our children? When the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, aware of our history, labeled us fantastically corrupt, we reacted defensively. When President Donald Trump declared us a now disgraced nation, we were incensed. Yet, with every act of resistance against transparency and reform, we continue to affirm their claims. Those responsible will later point fingers at others for harming the country while they quietly suffocate its potential. Let there be no illusion. The criminality witnessed in 2023 will not be tolerated. In 2027, Nigerians everywhere must start getting ready to rise up, resist, and reject the backward trajectory, legitimately and decisively reclaim our country from the clutches of deliberate malevolence. I mean, that was, a detailed tweet. Again, electronic transmission of results is critical to preventing the kind of collation center manipulation that has plagued Nigerian elections. The fact that opposition senators from PDP, LP, and even one APC member are united on this issue shows how fundamental this provision is. Nigerians deserve a credible election. And some of the argument, like I heard from the Senate spokesman, Adara Modu, yesterday, who was on our nightly news program, Newsnight, was the fact that, when you go to some remote places and, during the election, sometimes you're not able to upload the results, instantly, real time, because that's what people are asking. But that, if people don't see that the results are being uploaded in real time, they might feel disenfranchised and there will be chaos. That was his explanation. But the question that was asked was, do you have a mobile phone? In those areas, do we have electronic transmission of even conversations? And the answer is yes. We must revive our system. We must find ways to make sure that this system must work for Nigerians to believe in credible elections. Rufai.
You know why I was like,
yeah.
Daramodu's argument is so jaded, bruh. Mr. Senator, your argument is so jaded. It's so 2023. These were the same dumb, daft arguments they made in 2023 that we shut them up for. Dumb, daft arguments. You don't even need a lot of bandwidth to be able to do the transmission. Are you guys kidding me? And you're bringing that argument again to 2027? It's daft. It's dumb. Please, we are not fools. INEC gets about 97% transmission for election. Are you not in this country?
Yeah.
Don't you see INEC gets about 97% transmission? Is it not from rural areas that do the transmission? Why is it that we have a set of leaders that always bring us back as a nation? Nigeria, you see, every morning I wake up and I see how blessed this country is. But when I see the quality of leaders we get, they are not even deserving of lacing the boots of the hardworking citizens of this country. Now the next thing, the senators, the bunch of them, sat together and they're trying to say, oh, it's transfer, not transmission. Heck yeah, we know what we're talking about.
All right.
It's transmission. You transmit, you send across a medium. Internet is a medium here, not transfer. And why we are doing this is to nullify the collation, the criminal center called collation center,
Right.
where people manipulate the elections.
Yes.
And by the way, if they've got nothing to hide, why did we have a technological glitch? Why was it only the presidential election? Nigerians must stand for this. These senators must stop making us a joke. And please, people, mark their face down. In the next election, deal with them. Show them how you feel.
Dr. Abati.
Okay, a number of
nonsense.
Earlier on today, we had former Minister Obi Ezekwesili, and we started with the piece she has written on the subject that it looks like the National Assembly is playing with fire. But the major point of our submission in the article she wrote is about trust.
Yes.
That to build trust
Right.
in the electoral process, the National Assembly, in redefining, amending, reviewing the Electoral Amendment Act of 2022, must be seen to be doing it in a transparent and accountable manner to build confidence in the electoral process, so that the people will believe that the 2027 general election has not been rigged from now, and that it will be free, fair, and credible. That's why transparency and accountability is important. The second issue to raise is the point made by Yemi Adaramudu, who is the spokesperson of the Senate. Now, you won't be able to transmit from some rural areas and all of that. He was just making a comment on the level of our development. They have elections in other places. When they hold elections in the US or they hold election in the UK, in some countries, you may not even know that the election is going on. People will go to work, everything will happen, and it will be transmitted.
Yes.
But what the senator was saying basically is that we're still a backward country when it comes to election management. And what Nigerians and the commentariat have been saying is that, look, can we raise the level of performance, both institutionally and also procedurally? And in that regard, you cannot argue with the people. It's about raising the standards. Now, I made a point before that, you know, the politicians, the lawmakers are probably looking at pragmatism. Nobody as a politician will want to go and make a law that will remove him from power. So it's a game also of self-preservation. And Nigerians are saying, contrary-wise, that we the people should be the ones to decide. When you produce when we have voted, transmit real time.
Yes.
So that all of us can monitor the votes. If you say, defend your votes, how will we defend the votes if what we get there will be at the discretion of INEC?
All right.
Finally, I do not think that those who are commenting on this should speak in a fashion that will look like they are inciting the people. Because when you tell the people, rise up, occupy National Assembly, that will be a form of incitement. I think the opposition should also speak like statesmen, like leaders. But I know it can be very frustrating when you see those in charge trying to play games with the process. But you know, nobody should recommend violence. Nobody should incite anybody because the process itself has not been completed.
All right.
House of Reps is still saying they still have their own objections. The harmonization process has not taken place.
Right.
The president has not signed. So you can put pressure through your representatives.
That's what we are doing. Yeah, Ayo, you wanted to say something, but let's reply quickly. Just say before,
So
that
quick
you can
fun
end.
fact.
What was it?
ECHA image on IREF is roughly between 200 to 800 kilobytes per polling unit results. If it's properly captured, it falls between 300 to 600 kilobytes. Adaramodu's argument does not hold water.
All right. Okay.
Let me just
I've just proven empirically for you.
Argument around the fact that just with your phone network, if you are in a network in a network deprived area, even when you send messages and it has a one tick, when you get to an area, but the main issue is that let it be transmitted there.
Right.
When you then get at least the point that you cannot change it in transit. That's what people are asking for, and that argument it falls flat. It speaks of almost an ignorance of how technology works, and it's quite sad to see that that's the level of our development here in Nigeria. I think it paints us in very bad light. But very quickly on inciting, Nigerians will get to a point, and I can bet you that they would not need an opposition figure to make a point around that. I recall when the Enough is Enough movement started, that term, enough is enough. When you continue to push the people, whether or not anybody comes out to say it, the people will fight back. And that's why it is a note of warning to our leaders that let's look at examples around the world. Look at Kenya, look at Nepal, look at Tanzania. People, and you can't kill everybody. So the truth is that people still have a right to peaceful protest, but you cannot push Nigerians to the wall and expect that they just keep looking docile, and we keep saying, oh, just calm down. If they have used all the legal options, and this is why we are asking them to let the voices of people be heard, so that people do not feel aggravated beyond the point of legality.
Speaking about Obi Ezekwesili and her note, I'd like to read the final word for the Senate and for the Nigerian people to know what the provision is. For the avoidance of any confusion, here is the exact text of the key proposed provision from the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the INEC result viewing portal, IREV, in real time, and such transmission shall be done after the prescribed Form EC8A has been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and where available, countersigned by candidates or polling unit agents. This cannot be too difficult. We wait for the harmonization of that bill. Well, let's take a lighter story now. In the United Kingdom, Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch had an unexpected guest steal the spotlight during a live television interview on Tuesday. Guess what? It was a mouse. During the interview on ITV's Peterson show, viewers spotted the mouse scurrying across the floor in the background while host Robert Peterson was interviewing Badenoch in her Westminster office. The rodent was captured darting under the radiator as Badenoch discussed political topics completely unaware of the foreign intruder. Let's take a look.
Those are the owners of the house. The important thing is that the information comes out. And let's be honest, Robert, at 12 p.m. today, the Prime Minister was saying he wasn't sending anything to the committee. At 12 p.m. today, the Prime Minister was saying he wasn't sending anything to the committee. He'd done nothing wrong. By 12:30, by 4 p.m., by 7 p.m., all of that had changed.
My predecessor said that mouse not tenant. Is that the real land?
That's the real landlord.
Oh, that's the real, not the tenant.
The mouse is the landlord.
He's the landlord of the place, well, mouse. But you know, Rufai, that moment quickly went viral on social media with the original post garnering over 1.4 million views. But British media outlets had a field day with the Mirror describing it as a grim moment where Badenoch was upstaged by a rodent really quickly.
If you check the historical antecedents of London, London has dealt with rat issues big time in the past. So having rats and rodents in the house, those are the real owners of the house.
No, it's not AI, right?
No, there's not AI. They are standard.
Yes.
They are British citizens.
They are British citizens. Yes.
We used to call a rat anytime it showed up like that. Okun Kalaba.
Okun Kalaba.
So it's very interesting to see that Okun Kalaba got a visa to live.
No, they say he's the owner of
it's Okun Kalaba. Well, we called it Okun Kalaba. To be in the office of Kemi Badenoch.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that we had an experience in Nigeria. President Buhari, when he found a rat in his office, they shut down the office for renovation. But I don't want Kemi Badenoch to go that far. At this time, when she's fighting to get Kestama removed or for him to resign, fumigation. May probably
should be on number
it's
one.
a lesson to us that it's not only in Africa that we see Okun Kalaba. They also have it in England, and Kemi Badenoch will not be able to say.
I can assure you, it's not AI, and there's no Okun Kalaba here.
Thomas.
Yes, I can assure you, Okun Kalaba is not here. It's not here. I'm just telling you now.
Please, call it. Shall we end with Thomas? Rat is called Thomas.
They have his name. His name is Thomas.
Oh yes, that is it. If you come into the country we are living, all the leaders you are seeing, all of them are full of lies, are full of propaganda, they are full of deniers. Thank God that somebody like Chris Smith is there to talk and to say what they saw when they came to Nigeria. The whole of media of Nigeria, all of them is full of the same thing. Is a government media, so you don't expect them to come up and to tell you the truth about the things that is going on in Nigeria. Where it affect them more is because of these days, internet is everywhere. No matter whatever they are doing, they don't used to know how people used to capture them. It is not about, but they used to these days they used to deny at times, claiming that it is not them, it is AI. But we know the one that is AI and the one that is not AI. So we thank God that at least people are there. The world have seen how evil, demonic, and how cruel the leaders of Nigeria is. They are very demonic, very bad people. So I would like to hear your comment down below. Like, subscribe, and share the video to go around. Let others see things that is really going on in Nigeria. I will say thank you for watching.